But the question is why.
And in a good way for us, I guess.
Yeah.
You know the story. You know the story of August Goforth.
Yeah.
In his work, The Risen. How do we know? And he talked about Tim, who passed on, his dear friend, who he was able to communicate with and still does, to the point where Tim helped him write the book. How do we know this was an August's way of dealing with this incredible grief that he had?
Okay. George, I've been on your show. I was back when it was the Art Bell Show.
Yep, you go way back.
Your listeners, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I just heard a clicking sound.
Yeah, me too.
I think, I'm sort of, prefacing my answer by saying that we can't have the same conversation over and over and over again. I think that, that we've gotten stuck in our attempting to understand the spiritual issues. And so I'm going to answer your question in a somewhat provocative way.
Okay.
I'm going to say that, in fact, this book, The Risen, is August Goforth's way of dealing with his friend, his partner, who had died. In fact, that is, what it is. And yet it's still real.
Yeah.
And we've got to make that step. We've got to get over this issue of, it's just psychological. It's just, just because we have a need to believe in God, that's not some proof that God doesn't exist. Maybe we have a need to believe in God because there really is a God. And when you look at this issue now, let's step back from this issue. Let's look at cultures, for example, which communicate. For example, Japanese culture. Japanese culture has a much greater awareness of death and dying, and it's much more traditional for the surviving spouse to actually talk to the person who's died, etc. And that's a good thing, it turns out. That promotes healthy grieving. That promotes getting on with life. It does a lot of good things for you. So, this idea that we've got to somehow pigeonhole it as, he just needs to talk to his partner who's died. Well, sure, he does need to. And the result is this wonderful book. It's that simple. And yet, in my opinion, this book is real. It's a result of a real experience, as real as any other human experience.
And our society has taught us to have closed minds, and I'm glad that there are people like you, like August Goforth, who can break past that to get to the points you both are now.
Yeah, we've got to get past it. We've got to get over this issue, because I think the bigger issue is that what has it gotten us to be so, like you're saying, closed-minded and so certain that we know that we know everything. The brain can account for everything that happens, etc. Our world is disintegrating before our eyes. When you think about, what are the main medications in my field, the top 5 medications prescribed worldwide are medications that have to do with issues of meaning, that have to do with issues of being connected to other human beings. And those are, of course, the antidepressants.
Yep.
So the main medications that we're taking are medicines designed to give us a sense of meaning, and yet then we so arrogantly insist that we know everything. Well, first of all, science is telling us we don't know everything, George. Our brain, we've talked from the controlled remote viewing point of view, our brain receives over 1 million bits of information every second, and we're only using 10 to 20,000 bits of information to create what we call reality. So what the heck is all that other information that we are continually bombarded with? Well, maybe August Goforth is correct. Maybe that is the risen trying to talk to us. I mean, I don't know. I'm not, don't get me wrong. I don't know, but it sure leaves, it sure leaves a gigantic, area, of unknown, that, we can, speculate, that, perhaps he's absolutely right.
When you talk to other medical professionals, maybe scientists, who aren't believers that life continues, that there's something on the other side, does it frustrate you, or do you walk away from them? What happens?
Well, it frustrates me at this point in my career to the point where it makes me puke. I'm just being blunt about it. But on the other hand, I do not walk away from it. I can't. A lot of the reason that I retired, I'm 56 years old. I retired after 20 years at the University of Washington, was because I want to continue this work.
Good for you.
And it just, so I can't walk away from it. But Mario Beauregard, who wrote a brilliant book called The Spiritual Brain, has told me the University of Montreal doesn't think much of that type of research and would prefer he not do it. My fMRI study, where I'm not even suggesting that the mediums are really talking to dead people. I'm just saying this is a known human phenomena. Wouldn't it be interesting to study
it? Sure.
Yeah, to study it. It took a little bit of political finagling to find an institution that was willing to actually do the fMRI scans, even if the grant organization that's supporting me is funding them. We're willing to pay. We got cash. We're willing to pay for it, and yet still, several institutions said no, thank you. We don't want to.
Well, when it's time, you can also tell them you have a national audience that you're going to announce the results on.
Yeah. Well, but I can't walk away from it. I think because here's the reality. The reality is, I'm going to say, I'm just making this percentage up, but I think it's probably accurate. Well over half of physicians and scientists, they know that all of this is true. But they know it in the sense that they're willing to sit at the bedside of a dying patient at night, and yet they don't want to talk about it during the day. I'm familiar with physicians. Excuse me.
No, that's all right. Get yourself a little water or something like that.
I'm familiar with physicians who are actively doing energetic healing. They're beyond what I'm interested in or are willing to do. Where you put your hands, a couple of inches away from a patient and attempting to heal them with energy forces. These are mainstream conservative physicians. They would never dream of letting their colleagues know or faculty members know that this is what they're doing in their spare time. What? And there's too many of these physicians and scientists to walk away from it all.
What was it, Melvin, that got you involved with this? I mean, I'm sure that when you were going through medical school, you had no idea you'd end up researching near-death experience.
At Johns Hopkins?
No way.
At Johns Hopkins, we were taught that a family doctor is suspect.
Yeah.
Excuse me, just one second.
Okay.
No, I just had a little cough.
That happens. So see, I have the luxury of a little cough button. So if that ever happens to me, I just kill my mic and I can do that.
So the gods that I worshipped when I was training, Plum and Posner, they wrote the Diagnosis of Stupor and Coma.
Mm-hmm.
And they say that consciousness ends when coma begins. that coma wipes the brain clean of consciousness. So that was always been my mindset. I never thought anything different until I resuscitated this critically ill child in Pocatello, Idaho. It was a moonlighting. I was working, just to make some extra money for Airlift Northwest. And we picked up this critically ill child who, I thought she had in fact died. But, she was a drowning, and, our motto was, they're not dead until they're warm and dead.
Yeah,
she was, so we sent her down to Salt Lake City, to the big medical center there. But I felt that she was dead in Pocatello, Idaho, when we resuscitated her. We can keep, the heart and the lungs going indefinitely, really. And yet, 2 or 3 weeks later, I was again moonlighting in the same, this time in a clinic, and she happened to be there as one of the patients, and she looks at me and she goes, I'm still mad at you for putting a tube in my nose. and then when I was like looking at her like, what? You can't possibly remember that. She then went on to tell me that, chance conversations that the nurses had. She said, I overheard you on the phone talking to some other doctor saying, what am I supposed to do now? Which was, accurate. And then telling me that she had gone to heaven. And when she saw the look of, a complete disbelief on my face, patted me on the wrist. That's the one I was telling you about.
Oh, that's the one.
Yeah, she said, don't worry, Dr. Morris, you'll see, heaven is fun. and it's just, after that experience, well, I wasn't instantly converted or anything, but that gave me the idea to then study these experiences. Mostly I was interested at the time of how she could have any memory at all of her cardiac arrest. When I saw her pupils were fixed and dilated. She was in a profound coma, as close to death as possible. And so we went on to study this phenomenon at Seattle Children's Hospital, and by and large, over about a 15-year period, just about every child that came to the point of clinical death had this type of experience. And they were all, these kinds of beautiful experiences. I saw a light that told me who I was and where I am to go. That, coming from, a 7-year-old child telling you something like that, is just, it is like reading, some, the most fantastic, spiritual literature you can imagine. And yet it's small children are saying these things. We talk to these children sometimes weeks or even months after their resuscitation. One child said to me, I see pieces of that light everywhere I go now.
That's amazing.
Life is for living. The light is for later.
And I bet it changes them too when they come.
Oh, absolutely. We studied them then. We had, because I was fortunate. I was young at the time. I was, just really, 32, 33 years old. So to have the ability to study them 10 years later. And then we also did a study of adults who had near-death experiences as children. But here's the amazing thing. Okay, are you ready for the big secret of life?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay, this is it. You should be nice. You should be kind. But we did go to the